Hello everybody and welcome again to another Oblivion Geeks review video.
Yeah.
This time for the film Assassin's Creed. I am Jason. I am joined here by my friends Laura and Danny.
What's up?
And we have a lot to get to, so we're going to dive right in. But before a footnote, just so you know where we're coming from a little bit, Danny and Laura are pretty big fans of this franchise. Is that correct?
We have played at least 8 of the 9 main games and at least a handful of the 11 secondary games.
Okay. By comparison, I have played 0 games. That's 0.
You're such a loser.
I mean, loser is kind of a strong word. I just haven't played it. Just like I also haven't skydived.
You're also a loser for that.
I join you in that category for that.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the support.
I've only done bungee jumping.
Anyhow, we're letting you know this just so you know that when they talk about the film, they know a little bit more about the franchise, a little bit more about the history of the characters and the environment and all that. And I'm coming at it kind of as an outsider and judging the film as a film.
But that works out because if you haven't seen it or don't know much about it, we'll be answering questions that you probably have.
Correct.
Now we are going to be doing a deep dive. This is spoiler territory.
Absolutely. Spoiler territory.
Spoilers all over the place.
All over the place. If you haven't seen the film already, please pause this video and go see it, and then come back and join us as we geek out. Sound good? Sound good? Cool. So, first impressions. Laura, what did you think of this film? Did you like it? Yes or no?
I loved it. I really did.
Okay. Okay. Danny, did you like it? Yes, no?
It was entertaining, but it felt a little flat for me. Doesn't break the cycle for the video game movies, but it was good mid-range, solid film.
Okay. I would probably say mid-range as well for me. I didn't love the movie. I didn't hate the movie. It was entertaining enough. I did have some questions, and maybe those are because I didn't know enough about the franchise, and we'll get to that in a second. But so we have a love, we have 2 mid-ranges. Okay. Now let's get into the characters. If you have been following along the process of this film at all, you may know that Michael Fassbender took charge and wanted this film made. He got involved pretty early on, correct?
Very early.
Even before we knew anything about this movie, they were like, "Oh, by the way, Michael Fassbender is going to be in this movie," and we were like, "Wait, what? This is happening?"
Yep, he even ended up producing it.
Yeah, he had a pretty big part in it.
Yeah.
So obviously he's in the film and he plays 2 characters, correct?
Yes,
2 characters.
So his current day character is named Callum Lynch, and then his past life character
was Aguilar de Nera?
I believe. So Aguilar was a ancestor of.
Yes.
Correct.
Ancestor.
Yes.
Ancestor. So then Callum is the descendant, obviously.
Yes.
And is that something that's common to the games? I imagine?
Yes. You are usually playing through someone's DNA sequence. The lore for the Assassin's Creed world is it's genetic memory. So up until you are conceived, you have the memories of your parents and all your ancestors before up until they were conceived. So, theoretically, if you got a younger brother or sister, they would have slightly more information from your parents in that in-between period between when you were born. Okay. That's how this one supposedly works in this area.
So he played 2 characters, and can be a tall order for an actor sometimes. Do you think he did a good job?
I thought he did really great. They were 2 very different characters, and I thought that he did well embodying each one separately. Especially being in 2 different eras, it worked really, really well, in my opinion.
The costume department had a lot to do with that. I mean, they made him look like a different character. Also, Fassbender, he's known for his blue, steely cool eyes. But Aguilar, they gave him brown contacts for that. So it actually felt like a different person. To me, it didn't look like contacts either. Like, it looked normal.
I love Fassbender, and I think he did a really good job in this film. And Fassbender has some really funny moments in it. Yeah,
because he went through that period in Abstergo where he's just like, I'm going crazy. I don't know what the F is going on right now, and you could totally see how he really changes. And
I'm crazy.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm crazy. This is happening.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
But yeah, there were a couple of good comedy points in there. That it still felt like it fit for the most part. Like in that kind of situation, I would probably feel the same way.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I mean,
it didn't feel out of place at all.
I mean, he died and then woke up in this weird facility and
immediately it's like,
we're gonna put you in the thoughts of your of your ancestor, I'd feel crazy too. I'd be like, what the heck is going on, guys?
Yeah, and then you go in to go and eat, and all these people are like, you know, giving you a death stare, and you're gonna screw this up, and he's like,
you're gonna destroy the world.
I don't know what's going on.
I just woke up, guys. I'm just trying to get some steak.
I don't want your dang chicken. I want steak.
Right.
As the assassin, Aguilar,
I
thought he had like a really imposing presence. I thought he felt dangerous to me. He felt like he was an assassin to me.
He didn't say very much. It was all his expressions, and obviously his fighting helped a lot with him being kind of intimidating.
What's also nice about him is he wasn't the most skilled assassin in the team either. The other assassin, the female assassin, Maria, she was actually a higher ranking assassin. She was more experienced. And he was there talking to his mentor also. So it's interesting because this is supposedly going to be a trilogy, so we're theoretically going to see some progression of this character as they become a master assassin.
Moving on to another character, Sophia Ricken, played by Marion Cotillard. Is she a character from the video games at all?
She's not.
No, she's new for the movie. Actually, everyone in the movie, according to the Ubisoft blog, is a new character aside from Sophia's father, Alan Rickon.
Okay.
Which we will.
Yes, we're going to get into that later.
So Sophia played a scientist, and she's on that created the Animus, or was running the Animus, or
it appears she's in charge of the latest rendition of the Animus.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been different versions of the Animus throughout the game, so this one we haven't seen before.
Okay.
This is brand new, and so yeah, that's kind of what I got from it too. Is that she's in charge of this specific experiment project. And I thought she did really well being this character. She kind of had this calm to the point of being kind of unnerving for me.
For me, for her character, just I don't know where she stands. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I'm getting these vibes from you, but at the same time they're like,
a lot of conflicting.
It's very conflicting. She was intimidating, but she was really kind, and you're like, what are you trying to do to me?
Yeah, and also just. And when we get into the plot, it's like, oh, wait, she's surprised by what's about to happen? What her father was planning to do? Like, this was the plan the entire time.
Yeah, she didn't
and then
seem
she was surprised by what Kellum did at the very end. It's like, did you not see that coming? For me, her dad is the leader of the Templar Order. So it was more of she was more in denial. Because he even had that line, like, you're always more of a scientist than a Templar. So I don't know whether or not he did leave some stuff out for her, but it felt like she was fully informed. She knew what was going to happen, but she was more in denial about it.
So obviously speaking of her dad, who's Alan Rickon, who's from the games, he is played by Jeremy Irons.
Yep.
Who again is a really strong presence, I feel like, as an actor.
Yes.
Do you think he played a good version of Alan?
Considering what we know about him from the games, he was in charge of the Animus Project from subjects 12 to 16. 16 went completely nutso because they kept him in the machine way too long, ended up killing himself. Then that's when somebody else took over. And that's when we enter into the games with Desmond Mild, subject 17. So his character pushing to have the subjects be in there, and like, doesn't matter if they go crazy, we need to find out what we need to find out.
That very much carried over.
Very much carried over.
It's funny, like, the character in the game does not look anything like the actor in the movie, which was kind of funny.
Okay. Beard,
yeah, he had a beard,
bald.
and he was very round and bald, and he looked... Yeah, it was
also,
just
we
kind
only
of funny.
see one profile
Yeah, he
picture
walks in
there.
at one point, and then we don't see him after that.
His character brought back the
yeah, kind of did,
version of
didn't it?
Abstergo, as opposed to like, yeah, we're like some seedy entertainment company, and we're just doing this as a front, and which was what the later games
that's the
were.
difference is that Abstergo started adapting to the present times, which is all about entertainment. So it looks like this specific division that they're working in is not quite part of that front. So it was kind of cool to go back to what the original idea of what Abstergo was in the games and see that coming back again versus being an entertainment company.
Next on our list of characters is Callum's father, who is another assassin, Joseph Lynch, who was played, surprisingly for me, Brendan Gleeson. I had no idea he was in the film at all.
That's the older version, the 2016 version, not the 1986 version.
Brendan's a pretty big actor. I was very surprised to see him in the film.
Yeah, he had an important role.
Mm-hmm.
He was there. He didn't have a whole lot to do, but his role was very important to the story. I thought it was great having him in there, and the scenes that he was in worked really well.
Yeah, I feel like there could have been a little bit more of an emotional lead-in or something like that, but I mean, it was all about the reveal for Callum. So, I mean, I get how they left the father's side out, and then you get that one really intense scene where he's talking to him.
I mean, assuming you guys have seen this, you start out by saying that his dad killed his mom, and then he runs off, and he's like, I don't know, raising himself or something for several years. And when he's being executed, his last words are, "Tell my dad I'll see him in hell." Mm-hmm. So we're like, okay, this guy hates his dad still. That makes sense. And then when you find out he's there in Abstergo also, you're just like, oh, crap, like, what is about to happen?
Especially when they give him a knife.
Yeah, they give him a knife, and they're like, go talk to your dad.
The blade that his father used to kill his mother.
They want him to perform some violent stuff. But I thought they made a good choice for his dad, and they had a good chemistry in terms of like him hating him and like all that stuff. I thought it worked really well.
And the father's still like, you're validated in hating me, but this is what we had to do. And I feel like he helped sell the creed to the audience.
I agree. Yeah.
And personally, I liked the father seemed to give a little bit more into the assassin mindset, because the wing that he was in, it was supposedly everybody who was broken by the Animus. And when he's talking to his son, he seems fully there. At all. It's like he's been pretending to be broken that entire time so that he would not give up the apple.
True.
Why don't you guys tell me about some of the other assassins that are in this game? Because, I mean, it's Assassin's Creed, we've been crying out loud. We're going to have some assassins.
The other assassins that we meet in Abstergo, there were 4 of them that we specifically get to actually see. The most obvious was Musa, played by Michael Kenneth Williams. Even though he didn't have too many lines, he still had a pretty good presence.
He did.
He seemed to be more of the voice of the group, and I thought he did really well.
For me, of the other assassins in the facility, he seemed the most dangerous, and not outright dangerous, but like you said, he was kind of calm and kind of he was
more calculated.
Yeah, like I feel like if like when time came, he'd be willing to throw down, and he knew tricks. Like I feel like he could kill you with like a sheet of paper.
He seemed less predictable, is what I mean. In terms of because like the other ones, like Nathan, who was the younger assassin, he was very violent, very much impatient. He was very, we need to do this now. And then we also had another one that was a little bit more vocal, was Amir. He was much more the calm influence, I felt, in terms of the assassin.
He was. He didn't really say a whole lot either, right?
But he always seemed to have a smirk or a smile on his face.
Like he was like plotting.
He knew what was up. He knew what was up.
Well, and he's the one, like he waited until the moment arrived, and he just like walked through the halls, and he went in and started like playing with the computers, and he's just like, I know what I'm doing.
We have one more assassin.
Yes.
Yes.
Lynn, who was played by Michelle H. Lynn.
Did she have any speaking parts?
I think she had like 1 or 2 lines.
I know she had some badass parts where she.
She could fight.
She could fight. That was awesome.
She was pretty badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, she didn't have too many speaking lines. But I mean, again, not very many of them really did.
Yeah.
So these 4 assassins that we meet in Abstergo, they were really cool, and I believe Musa is the only one that we know. His ancestor was Baptista. We don't know about the other 3 at this time.
So those are the assassins current time, 2016. Yes. We had one badass assassin back
in the
past.
Yes, Maria.
She was pretty badass too, and we already knew that from the trailers. Even without seeing the trailers and just seeing pictures, you're like, that chick's gonna be awesome.
I remember that one part from the trailer where she like double stab.
And then she like looks up
and smiles. It's just like she just put a knife in 2 people's hearts, and now she's smiling.
She got the cool eyeliner, the face tattoos,
and she was a catalyst for Aguilar. We get the feeling that he was kind of there mostly for her. There's some sort of romantic thing going on there, possibly. We're not 100% sure. I kind of
picked that up a little bit.
But out of the 2, she seemed very dedicated.
She was
an assassin, and she was living just for the creed. it was nice to have a female assassin that is
so badass, so
wearing
committed.
stuff that she can actually fight in. Because in the games, I mean, we've had female assassins and stuff too, but in the games, most of the women who are assassins don't actually go out into the field like she does. And I could be wrong, but the way that I saw it in the end when she was dying, it looked like she did it herself.
That's she did.
The guy's got the knife to her throat, and she's like, don't give it to him, Aguilar. And he puts the blade away because he wants to save her, and then it goes to her, and she just
immediately pushes herself
she presses
into the knife.
her neck into the knife.
Takes her own life, so he has no choice.
Yeah, so he's like, alright, well, I gotta do what I gotta do. We see that already with Cal's mom also, but it was interesting to see that in the past as well.
There was definitely a big parallel there for Callum. A modern Templar that we still have that we forgot to address was McGowan. I liked him because he seemed to have respect for the Assassin Order as a Templar. Personally, I feel like he's going to be one of the big bads going through, because I mean, he was. They did the close up on Alan Rickman when he was getting killed. He was like, no. They did that close up on his face. Also, when he was putting the hidden blades on Callum, he was talking about the history of the Assassins and where they got the name, the Assassins. And
that was pretty interesting.
Which is all true, historically. They did get that name because they were supposedly known for smoking hashish, which was against the order back then. And so, supposedly, they used that reputation as druggies and just all these other people. And they actually did do assassinations in broad daylight, notable for using hidden blades. Not the hidden blades that we see in the movie, but, you know, like, pull a blade out, stab someone, and then disappear back into the crowd. They were known for very public executions. The assassins were a real order, and they did fight the Templars.
You can save that for the history bit.
Sorry. Personally, I have questions, because the game, we have a history of double agents. So I'm wondering his respect for the assassins and their order and what they were doing. And so it's one of those. It's like, is he actually an assassin in hiding? Is he actually a double agent? Was he there to make sure that he wouldn't spill the secrets?
So that's funny. I mean, I don't know anything about the games. I don't know anything about double agents. But when that scene was happening, I did get the sense that maybe he'd be helping him. But then he ended it with, like, that's not you. And I'm like, oh, maybe not. I'm just kidding. He's not helping him at all.
To me, it seemed like a challenge. Like,
it kind of did seem like a challenge.
So to me, it's like, are you going to live up to this?
Might I say, sometimes villains just really want a challenging opponent.
That's true.
Like, that happens all the time, where it's like, I need my equal. I need my Sherlock, because I'm the Moriarty, you know, like...
He's a Templar. We don't know if he went into the Animus and learned about his own past and learned some skills.
That's true. He might know some stuff from his own past.
Time will tell.
So,
the other Templar?
Batty from the past.
Batty from the pasty?
Batty from the pasty, who is...
Actually, a real historical figure. He was, in fact, the Grand Inquisitor of the Spanish Inquisition.
Torquemada. Yes, played by...
Say again?
Tomás de Torquemada.
Yep.
Tomás de Torquemada.
Yeah. There we go.
Played by Javier Gutierrez.
Yes. That's what I was looking for.
And,
we can't do that. Yeah. We can't say it that way.
Was a real historical person. We see him at the burnings of the infidels, or the non-believers, and these burnings did take place. Those were real. They were very festive. There was a lot of theatricality about them. It was a display. It was almost a festival.
So this guy was trying to get the Apple of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the past scenes were him trying to catch Aguilar and get this piece of Eden.
So you said you were trying to get the Apple of Eden, which I think leads us to our next segment, you can say, about the connections to the actual gaming franchise, which you guys are going to educate me on because I know nothing. But the Apple of Eden is... what exactly?
Is one of the ancient artifacts from the precursor civilization. In the movie, they mention that it might have been left by an ancient civilization. So in the movie, they're not sure.
Latch on to that.
These are very powerful things that are just left behind. It's hard to say what they are.
They each have different functions, also.
A lot of them have been based off of notable religious artifacts throughout history. For instance, Excalibur, the Apple of Eden, the Shroud of Turin. All of these things end up getting played into the narrative.
Also, the Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft, they have already confirmed that this movie is part of the game universe. This is just another story that is part of it.
So it's a new entry in the franchise.
Yes. And it will have ramifications for the games and the books and other media.
There were other things scattered throughout the film that weren't really in focus, like we didn't always catch
Easter eggs,
them. It's more like in the background, Easter egg type things that still helped to confirm that it was connected to the games. There was one thing that you caught.
I did see in the background Xiao Jun's shoe. But anyways.
A shoe?
Yes. There's a character in the game
that must have been really identifiable.
That's renowned for using instead of the hidden blade and wrist guard, it's a hidden blade in the shoe.
Okay.
And she was...
I'd recognize that shoe anywhere.
She was a Chinese assassin, and then we had the Lin character pick that up. And
oh, that's right. Okay, yes.
And she was also using a rope dart, which was another signature weapon of...
That's just the Oblivion ghost, so don't mind him.
There was an assassin.
Sorry, VGB.
So those were other weapons which make us think that she was a descendant of Xiao Jun. But what you were referencing was a different animus. And for a minute in one of the backgrounds of one of the scenes, I'm pretty sure I saw the red animus that Rebecca Crane had made in one of the games.
It's the chair that Rebecca had made while they were hiding.
Yeah, while they were
kind
hiding.
of on the run. Personally, I didn't catch that. But it's something that I don't think just anybody would recognize it.
Unless you're familiar.
Yeah, if you are familiar with it, you may have seen it in the background. A friend of mine, Sith in the North, said that he caught a few things too. He saw in the weapons room that Sophia was in all the time, Ezio's crossbow, and we saw his
there's
hidden
also
blades
some
too.
of the hidden blades that were on display. I'm pretty sure at least one of them was Ezio's. He had a couple of different ones.
And then we saw Edward Kenway's pistols. He also said that Arno's blade was used in the end. He said one of the assassins uses the crossbow attachment and snipes a fool in the neck.
I pity the fool.
I was like, oh yeah, that was cool.
Yep.
So there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot in there. If anybody out there caught stuff or noticed anything, please comment below. Let us know, because we would love to kind of go back again and pick out all those things.
Yeah,
and
we're gonna have to wait for the Blu-ray or something.
We did
freeze and okay.
Another thing that we talked about too were if we were going to see any other assassins from the games. I personally can't confirm any of them, but there is that scene in the end. The camera didn't sit long enough on each of them for me to be able to identify them.
Yeah.
One
also,
guy,
they were all kind of blurry.
Yeah, they were a little blurry.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all wearing hoods.
Ghosts.
So, like, you can't really see them. But one person, to me, his jacket looked very similar to Connor.
It did look very similar to Connor's.
But, again, it was so quick, I couldn't get a very good look, so I could be wrong. So don't hold me to that.
As far as those characters, the ones that are showing up, I think they intended them to be his past assassins from his lineage. Not necessarily from the games. Some of them might have been from the games, because there's genetics, and you can get a little bit from everywhere. Who knows? But I believe that those were specific to Callum's lineage. Although that makes some questions, because the last image that showed up did not look like it was talking to him.
It was like a female assassin.
And it looked like it was Sophia. It looked like Sophia.
It kind of looked like her.
It was a little...
And we had a line from Sophia earlier on that her mother had been killed by an assassin like his.
So there's a question.
There's a lot of gray area.
Maybe they're connected.
A lot of gray area.
Another thing Sith in the North mentioned too was he said one of the other appearances may have been Arno.
I think one of them looked like it could have been the main character from Rogue. I saw a couple of what looked like the colonial uniforms. So there are a couple that could have been from there.
So there are possibilities. So far, we can't personally confirm, and we haven't seen anything online that confirms who they were.
As far as other things that we were possibly thinking about seeing, given the time frame that Aguilar was active, this was actually the same time period that Ezio was active, but he was in Italy. So there was a possibility that we might have seen Ezio. We didn't.
Unless he was like really far in the background.
Yeah, although didn't Ezio have some doings with Christopher Columbus at some point? I think he ran into him at one point.
When I was looking this up too, a Screen Rant article mentioned that in Assassin's Creed 2, There is a story in there where Ezio does go to Spain to rescue a group of assassins.
True.
I know the original theory is maybe we would see him in that kind of scene. Well, from what we know, he wasn't there so far. But it could open opportunities in future movies to possibly see Ezio on the screen, which would be kind of cool. I think he's one of the more popular characters of the series.
As far as the modern day, we got Rebecca's chair, but I was really hoping to actually see Rebecca.
I know, me too.
And Sean Hastings. They were been one of the few constants through the games.
Rebecca and Sean has been in every main game. Even in the background.
Yeah,
they have some kind of appearance or
they're
voice.
an Easter egg or something like that.
And so we were like, they have to be in this movie somewhere.
You would think.
We didn't see them, but if you did, please tell us.
Let us know in the comments.
That would be awesome.
Yep.
Danny, I know you're a huge history buff, and the Assassin's Creed games are very much connected
rooted in history.
to history. Would you say as a whole the film was accurate?
Setting-wise, feeling-wise, costumes, most of that was accurate. And one of the biggest glaring problems was that the Treaty of Granada, which is where they were taking place, that actually didn't happen in 1942. It was actually taken over on the 25th of November in 1491. So they were a year off. Technically, the treaty was signed and everything was fully handed over on the 2nd of January. So unless all this stuff went down over 2 days, the lower third was inaccurate. Which I completely understand why they did it, because who sailed the ocean blue in 1492? So, I mean, who didn't see that coming?
Right.
So I get why they put that number in there, but that was not accurate.
My first thought was Christopher Columbus an assassin? Because that'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool. We don't know his story yet.
Yeah.
That's the next Assassin's Creed video game.
But yeah, as
Assassin's Creed Nino Pinta and Santa Maria.
You never know. The Journey of the Apple.
What is like the most obvious inaccuracies though?
The year, and also when they introduced Isabella the First and Ferdinand II, Isabella II was wearing a lot of face paint in that. She was not known for that. She was known for being a class act, being pale complexion, stuff like that. So the costume on that might not have been accurate. I didn't do too much research on if the king and queen actually dressed up for the festivities of the burning. As far as I know.
I would think going in public for something that big, they probably would dress up a little bit.
I'd dress up for everything.
No, but with the face
That's
paint,
true.
though.
You kind of do.
But these were also...
There were times when we were like, where are you going? And you're like, nowhere.
The bathroom?
I know that in the games, they try to be as accurate as they can. They have departments dedicated to that.
Yeah, and if you...
So I know it's important to them in general.
Yeah, in the games, when you meet someone, you unlock their profile, and you can read their entire history.
I know that there
And the
are
parts that
stories of kids who actually learn more history playing these games than they do in
I believe
school.
that. Yeah. I've learned so much reading comic books.
Yeah, a lot of it is like, if you take out
It's
the
true.
Assassin and Templar stuff, then most of it is true.
True side story, I solved an episode of CSI because of something I read in the comic book.
Nice.
It was like, oh, I totally know what it is.
Did you do that to do the sunglass thing?
Yeah. So let's get to it. This is a video game movie. And
Really?
And I don't know
Was
if you
it?
knew that. It's so Assassin's Creed was actually a video game franchise.
I had no idea.
I know.
I think we need to double check this.
According to my Google sources, yes. So it's a video game movie. History has not been kind to video game movies.
Video game adaptation.
Adaptations, correct. I was hesitant to use that because it isn't an adaptation of an
This is
actual
exactly an
game.
adaptation, but
Adaptation of a property. Let's go with that.
Okay, I like that. I'll take that. So, how do you guys feel this was?
I don't think it broke the curse.
I disagree with him.
Okay.
I mean, there are definitely movies out there that probably rank higher than this. Our buddies over at Video Game Bang, they did a Twitter poll asking people, what is the best adaptation to you? And Warcraft won. It got 41%.
41%.
We saw Warcraft, and I think Assassin's Creed might have a similar issue to what Warcraft had, in that there's a lot of lore around this title that you can't put into the movie to explain to people who don't know about it. So Warcraft, we don't know anything.
We don't follow Warcraft, so we
And
didn't know
so the
anything.
movie just didn't really make sense to us, and I think that might be the issue with this movie. We understood a lot of it, but I don't know if you did.
I mean, I have some issues with it as a film. I will get to in a second, but
I feel like Assassin's Creed did a good job compared to many of the other video game movies out there. It wasn't cheesy. It very much followed the same feel as the games. It was also different in that it was an extension of the games. Mm-hmm. It's not just a remake or an adaptation like we keep calling it. It's not an adaptation. I thought they did a really good job extending it into the silver screen. Sure, like any movie, there are things that they could work on. Maybe a little more character development in general. Yeah, but I think it ranks higher than many of the video game movies.
So would you place it in the top tier, mid-tier, or low tier of video game adaptations?
I'd place it in the top.
It would probably be towards the mid-upper area for me. It's a solid movie, but I feel like all video game movies where you are the person, you're involved, we still haven't figured out how to make that transition from, hey, I'm playing it, how do we get it into this surrogate for the player? They're still trying to work that out for me.
It's kind of a hard subject.
It was an enjoyable movie.
It's a hard thing to, in general, put on screen.
Sure.
It works in the games, but doing it in screen, I can see the struggle with trying to do that right. But hey, the action in this movie was, like, spot on. It definitely followed the game, like running over rooftops and parkouring between buildings.
Parkour!
Like, all of the fight scenes, I was like, oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
How about
that was
you?
me.
As a non-fan?
Yeah, tell us what you thought.
I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. It was fun. Have some great action sequences. Like I said, like I've always enjoyed the costumes, and it was great seeing that done on that scale. And it was really a nice looking film. And I love Maria, the badass female assassin. There were some moments where I could definitely tell I was watching a video game movie, and I don't know if that's maybe because I knew it was a video game, so there's that bias already set in my mind. The beginning of the film for me felt like it was just leading to something without actually telling a story. Like I could tell like it was just building to the next thing and then building to the next thing just to get me to the part where Michael Fassbender's character becomes an assassin. It was a little predictable to me in that regard. Like I knew he was going to become the assassin and I knew he was going to fight.
It was a little formulaic, yeah.
One of the main questions I had, not knowing anything about the movie, was about the Apple of Eden. Couldn't the Sultan have just given a fake one? Was there some inherent way that they know it's the real one?
That is a very, very good question.
Thanks, Laura.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the games, there is a mechanic for that. It's called Eagle Vision, which functions very similar if you played any of the Batman Arkham games. It's like the detective vision.
Oh, okay.
They didn't touch on this in the movie at all. But assuming this is part of the same universe, that's probably what he used.
It also explains why the assassins were able to see so well in such smoky rooms.
True.
That is true.
And then one final question I had. When we were first introduced to Aguilar at the beginning of the movie, when he's being initiated into an assassin, it looked like they cut off his ring finger. Is that like an initiation for the assassin?
This sounds really horrible because when that happened, when I saw him put his hand there, and I was just like, they're gonna do it!
They're actually,
okay,
I was actually excited because I was like, oh, they really are like following the lore of this.
Okay.
So yes, the cutting off of the finger. To get to your question, that is part of the past.
According to the mechanics, the original Assassins, the Assassins, for the first game, which was happening in 1191, it was part of the commitment. You cut off your ring finger to show your commitment to the Brotherhood. Also, the way the blade comes out, if you're going to punch him, it comes out in the space it's missing.
It's not going to cut your finger off, because your finger's already cut off. Yeah, it was a practical thing, and it was also a symbol.
By the time we get to the second game, which is with Ezio, and which happens during the Italian Renaissance in 1476, that's when the games start, by the time he gets his assassin's blades, he's also friends with Leonardo da Vinci. And Leonardo gets the blueprints for the hidden blade, and he makes him one.
Leonardo jumped in and redesigned it.
Good old Leonardo da Vinci.
So at this point with Aguilar, that is still a part of the tradition. They haven't switched that up. It hasn't become popularized enough that you don't have to cut that finger off.
So, I mean, we can't see the movie the way you see it. Would you recommend it to casual viewers?
I would, if you're into just kind of action-y movies. If it's not some deep story that is really gonna like make you think. It's It's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of great action sequences. The
very
choreography
great.
was great. Like I said, it was a little predictable for me, but that's no different than a lot of other big Hollywood blockbusters, unfortunately, these days.
Very true.
So,
Yeah.
did it suffer the curse of a lot of video game adaptations where it's just horrible? No, not at all. I would definitely place this in the upper tier of video game adaptations. I think it's worth seeing if you're not a fan of the video games at all.
It's a fun movie for action, for sure.
Yeah.
Good
So get out there and go see that movie.
Go see it. Tell us what you thought. Tell us if you found any Easter eggs that we didn't.
Yes.
It's a good jumping on point, too. For the
That is
lore.
very true. It's a good introduction.
One final question I have for all of you out there. I can see myself playing this game finally. But what game should I start with? Like, should I go back to number one and start from the beginning?
Oh.
Should I pick a different one? I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you guys out there, okay?
He's asking these guys.
Okay.
We don't got time for that.
All right.
So please let me know what game you think I should start with. And then
4.
You mean what Assassin's Creed game?
what Assassin's Creed game I should
Should you
play.
jump in on? Okay.
Yes.
Black Flag.
He's not asking you.
I don't care.
Go see the movie. I loved it. These guys kind of liked it. That's good enough. Also, if you're interested, Video Game Bang does have last week's episode up on their website if you wanted to listen to them talk about video game adaptations. They do talk about it for a little bit. The link will be in the description below.
So make sure you subscribe. Follow along all our other social channels. Links are down below in the description. We are Oblivion Geeks. Bye.
Bye.